We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Friday, September 19th here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Grace.
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday! And also Julian's with us.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we have finally made it to the end of the work week. So we're going to dive into a topic that pairs perfectly with a Friday night out. And for many people, that might mean a glass of a certain iconic drink. You see it at dinner tables and dramas, even at convenience stores. It's pretty much everywhere. So Grace, I have to ask, it's Friday and the weekend is almost here. Do you have any plans to go out for drinks tonight to celebrate making it through the end of the week? And speaking of drinks, do you happen to know what the world's best-selling spirit is?
Well, unfortunately, my ideal Friday celebration consists of a quiet night in, ordering chicken and catching up on TV shows I haven't been able to watch throughout the week. But I do know what the world's best-selling spirit is, and that is soju. It's actually held the #1 spot for 24 years in a row, and many describe it as tasting sweet at times and bitter at others, resembling the ups and downs of life.
So I'm not an avid drinker, but to people around me that are, they always say to me, the way you can enjoy soju is to appreciate that bitter and sweet side. So they're saying if you don't like soju, it means you haven't experienced the hardships of life.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
So Julian, can you give us a sense of how popular it is? For instance, if you got every bottle sold in 1 year and lined them all up in a row, how far do you think that would go?
Yeah, well, soju is extremely popular. So if you were to stack the soju bottles sold in just 1 year, they'd be enough to circle the earth 13 times.
13 times, that's a lot. So as you can guess, today we're going to discuss the global popularity of soju, Korea's signature alcoholic drink that's winning fans worldwide. Let's take a look at the screen to learn more. Shipments of soju, Korea's signature spirit, have seen a significant rise in recent years. Its versatility, the way it mixes easily with other drinks, along with its relatively low price, has made it appealing to many around the world. And thanks to its frequent appearances in Korean dramas and films, soju has become more than just a drink. Now it's recognized not only for its taste, but also for the sense of Korean sentiment and culture it carries, signaling that its global influence will only continue to grow. So today on News Generation, we take a closer look at how soju's status has risen and the cultural significance behind it. So as we saw in the video, it really just shows how far the drink status has risen globally, not just as a beverage, but as part of a whole cultural experience. So people around the world are enjoying it in bars, at dinner tables, and even in cocktails, embracing the rituals and flavors that make it unique. And this popularity is perhaps best illustrated by the fact that California actually established a day dedicated to soju. So Grace, can you tell us about this Soju Day?
Sure. So Soju Day is a recently established annual holiday designated as September 20th in California to celebrate and promote the popularity of Korean soju. Now, the purpose of this day is to recognize the cultural significance of soju and promote its growing presence and popularity in the United States. And it's all the more meaningful because it's not just about celebrating the popular Korean liquor, but also about learning about and appreciating diverse Korean culture, including the Korean food and other pairings that are associated with soju. While anniversaries like this lack legal force, special unofficial holidays like Ice Cream Day and Donut Day provide a great excuse to indulge in ice cream and donuts. So I hope that Soju Day will be just that.
So like you said, why it lacks legal force behind it, the designation of Soju Day was actually headed by State Senator Stephen Choi, and it was actually passed by the California State Legislature through a resolution, so that's pretty cool as well. Also, an official festival was held in Sacramento on August 25th this year. So would you want any sojus to be introduced at this festival?
Well, I think there's a lot of flavored sojus. I'm not sure if all of them are exported from Korea, so it would be really nice to have those trending, I guess, in the US. I also like the more luxurious sojus, if I would have to say. They're more of my favorite just because it tastes cleaner, and I think that people will enjoy them abroad as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to also raise awareness that it's not just the green bottles that we often see in shows.
There's a lot of diverse sojus.
There really is. So that's really interesting. It sounds like it's not just about drinking soju, but about celebrating the food, customs, and broader culture around it. And I also love the idea that unofficial fun holidays like this give people an excuse to enjoy something they might not normally try. So, Julian, why do you think soju has become so popular internationally, so much that there's even a soju day celebrated overseas?
Yeah, well, there are several reasons why soju has gained popularity, but I think it's due to the fact that Korean popular culture and cuisine has been getting a lot of attention, which has sparked interest in Korean alcohol and drinking culture. Now, soju just isn't really as filling as beer, nor as strong as hard liquor, and it can be mixed with other various drinks, which people seem to enjoy as well. So, flavored soju like yogurt soju or melon ice cream soju is also very popular overseas. Globally, our generation does tend to drink alcohol less than the older generation and tend to enjoy beverages with lower alcohol content, making soju a very particularly appealing choice.
That makes sense. Soju isn't just about the drink itself, but like we said, the whole experience around it, and it's also its mixability with other flavors and fun variations like melon soju make it really approachable, especially for the younger generation. So tell me, how do you two like to enjoy soju, and what kinds of snacks or food do you usually pair with? Grace, do you want to share first?
Yeah. Although not often, when I do get the urge to drink some soju, I like to enjoy it the more traditional way. And one popular way is to pair it with samgyeopsal or grilled pork belly, since the smoky, savory flavors of grilled meat complement soju's clean and slightly sweet profile, creating a good balance. Also, soju's neutral and smooth finish provides a very soothing counterpart to the bold, spicy, and tangy flavors of Korean stews like kimchi jjigae or kimchi stew.
So Julian, what are your ways of drinking soju?
Yeah, well, just like Grace, I don't really drink soju that often, so I don't really have a unique pairing that I can say I would recommend, but I really do enjoy drinking soju while grilling meat at a barbecue, particularly just like what you mentioned, samgyeopsal or pork belly, and also posam too, which is more of a steamed pork dish. Anything with meat, honestly, soju just does really pair well with.
So I guess eating with meat is a popular choice, especially with pork. So now that we've explored our own perspectives, we wanted to see what our viewers think as well. To get a better sense of public opinion, we took the question to the Arirang News YouTube channel and asked how they like to drink soju. And here's what they had to say. So when it comes to enjoying soju, preferences vary. Over half of the respondents, 53% prefer it straight, while 10% like it on the rocks and 11% enjoy it as part of a cocktail. Interestingly, 26% say it doesn't matter how it's served as long as it's paired with Korean food. So this shows that while many people enjoy soju in the traditional way, there's still also a lot of flexibility. And shout out to those people who mentioned that they like it with Korean food. So whether straight on the rocks or mixed in a cocktail, what seems to matter most is enjoying it alongside good food, especially Korean dishes. And now we're going to talk to a Korean person living in the US who will give us an insight into the popularity of soju and share how it's being enjoyed overseas. And that conversation is coming up right after the break, so stay with us.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
We're joined today by Chayuna, a Korean living in the US. Hi, Yuna. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. So I understand that you're a news producer, so you're the ideal person to give us some insight into this trend and what's kind of driving its popularity, I think. So
Yeah.
have you noticed how people's perceptions of soju and its popularity is changing in the US?
Yeah, so I live in New York City, and New York City is a very, very vibrant city with a bunch of great bars, and very diverse nightlife. And I think the popularity of soju has definitely increased over the past couple of years, with the rise of Korean culture. I think soju is a lot more mainstream now. If you maybe 5 years ago, it was only in K-Town. in the Korean restaurants and bars and karaoke. Now you can find it in more mainstream liquor stores, as well as being part of like bar menus. And I think that's definitely, soju is having its moment right now. And a lot of, you can find non-Koreans wanting to drink soju as well.
So Yuna, since you are in the US, which ways of drinking soju or which types of food pairings seem to be especially popular? And how does that differ from the way that soju is typically enjoyed here in Korea?
I think the biggest difference is that soju is found a lot in cocktails. So you'd be able to mix them with like slushies or any type of kind of experimental cocktail soju bars. There's a lot of those. But again, you'll still always find that soju is the most popular at like KBBQ. So that is definitely one of the similarities that we have in the US as Korea.
Great. So on a personal level, what are some of your favorite ways to enjoy soju? Do you have any recipes or snack pairings that you'd like to suggest for us?
I think that my favorite pairing is definitely with like spicy stews. I love that kind of balance of the bitter sweet taste of soju along with the spicy. And I think even on a bigger note, I think the sharing aspect of being able to drink a bottle of soju and playing drinking games, that's kind of the best way that I personally love to drink soju and experience that culture.
Great. So thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.
Of course. Thank you.
So we just spoke to a Korean living in the US who gave us some great insights into how soju is being enjoyed abroad, from its cultural meaning to the new ways people are drinking it. So I heard the reason behind creating Soju Day is that soju isn't seen as just a drink, but as a special symbol of Korean culture and sentiment. And Yuna kind of mentioned this as well. So what aspects of Korean culture do you think it represents, Grace?
Yeah, I think soju is kind of like the symbol of Korean jeong, which could be described as that warm attachment that's felt between people who share a close relationship. Soju also embodies Korean culinary culture, and like I mentioned, drinking soju over grilled meat is a must-do on any trip to Korea. There's also a very specific drinking etiquette, especially when drinking soju with an elder. For example, receiving the drink with both hands and then turning your head away from the table as you sip are part of showing respect. Checking glasses to see if they're empty and then filling them up are also very good soju etiquette. And I'm sure that you all know that Rosé's song APT is also inspired by a drinking game, which shows us that soju is also a way for people to have fun while drinking.
So Julian, with K-dramas, K-pop, and other Korean content gaining so much global attention, how has that translated into interest in Korean food and drinking culture, and of course in soju itself?
Yeah, well, in particular, soju has a strong presence in Korean films or dramas when characters experience hardship, pain, loneliness, as well as celebratory occasions. So as more people are consuming Korean content, including K-pop, it has led to overseas fans to take interest in Korean food and drinking culture, driving steady increase in soju exports. Let's take a look at the screen to find out more. Now, soju exports have been growing rapidly, rising from 135 million in 2020 to 182 million in 2022, and last year surpassed $200 million for the first time ever. Now, fruit-flavored soju in particular has been especially popular, contributing to the continued growth in exports. Now, this year, exports of fruit-flavored sojus alone are expected to exceed $100 million. And based on my experience living in the US and now, I also do notice that traditional soju is more popular in Korea, while as fruit-flavored soju is more popular in the US, but that could also just be my own experience too.
So we've been talking about how soju is booming internationally, but interestingly, I've heard that among young people in Korea, especially among millennials and Gen Z, soju consumption is actually going down. So So to wrap up our discussion today, why do you think that is, and what does it say about the changing drinking habits here in Korea?
The alcohol consumption culture in Korea is definitely shifting from the traditional let's drink to get wasted idea to let's enjoy drinks in moderation, which I personally like since it leads to just a healthier body and mind overall. In addition, the sober curious or healthy pleasure culture, which prioritizes one's health and well-being over excessive alcohol consumption, is gaining traction. And we're seeing growing awareness of the implications of alcohol-related consequences, which are definitely changing the drinking habits of the younger generation here.
And that's such an interesting shift. It's not just about drinking itself anymore or being able to drink as much as you can, but it's about more of a lifestyle. So we're really seeing this trend of people being more mindful and focused on health and balance. But there's nothing wrong, of course, with drinking in moderation. This doesn't mean people are giving up on drinking altogether. So for people who do enjoy drinking, what has become their choice of drink?
Yes, our generation seems to be more interested in trying a whole variety of alcoholic beverages from all around the world that suits their own personal taste, whether it's hard liquor, beer, mixed drinks, wine. I think people in general are just more open to trying different types of alcohol and figuring out what really matches their style. Now, Grace had just mentioned about no matter what type of alcohol it is, drinking excessively can harm your health. So it is important to enjoy in moderation if you do decide to drink.
Can you also relate to this? What kind of alcohol do you drink? Obviously, I know you're not like an avid drinker.
Well, honestly, I think it depends on what I'm pairing the alcoholic drink with.
I see.
For example, if I'm trying like cheese and crackers, I would like wine, but with grilling meat, soju is probably the best option for that.
Fair enough, fair enough. So from its roots in Korea to its rising status around the world, soju is no longer just a drink, but it's part of a shared cultural experience. And even for those who don't drink like myself, we can all agree that soju tells a story that's bigger than its green bottle. It's about culture, community, and connection. And as it continues to win over drinkers worldwide, who knows, maybe we'll see Soju Day spread beyond California next. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. We'll be back on Monday, 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and conversations. A big thanks to Grace.
Thanks for having me.
Coming in, as well Julian.
Thank you for also having me today.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best weekend. We are News Generation.